Hello, today we're going to take a look at discovering graphs of trig functions. Much like yesterday's video, this assignment isn't nearly as taxing as some of the ones that you've seen so far. It's got like 12 problems, it's not that bad. Let's take a look. So we want to write the equation of the trig graph. So right here, the default that it shows you is sine. So what it wants you to do is raise it up to the 3 mark, and that'll be the plus part. We're just going to go ahead and stick 1 in all the blanks and see what happens. And then we're going to add 3, and whoa there, we've got the graph. So the default has 1 in all these blanks. Except for this one, it assumes this one's 0. This is kind of like the default cosine graph. Now what we want to do is, where's the midline? It's at -3 because it ranges from -5 to -1. So we're going to put -3 in this blank, and let's see what happens. Got the right midline now. Let's go ahead and change the amplitude. It's got an amplitude of 2 based on what we learned the other day. And what do you know? That's all we needed. So over here we need this equation. Doesn't even have an offset. Let's just drop it down to -2. And let's put a 1 here just by default. What does that give us? It gives us the midline, but not the amplitude. So let's go ahead and change the amplitude to 2. See, this isn't too bad. Basically, you're discovering the graphs by changing the parameters and seeing how they shift around. So this one will be a little different. We're going to go ahead and stick the 1s in all the places again, and the 0 here just by default. And here we're going to drop down to the -4 because that's where it's going to cross. And hey, that's what we got. So as we continue, we're going to see a lot of the same stuff. I'm actually going to just jump you straight on down to level 3 so I don't take too much of your time with this video. We've got this equation. Okay, this one's a little interesting. We're going to put in 1, 1, 0 just because that's what our default graph will be. And now it looks like this graph is wider than ours. What happens if we double this? Our graph gets narrower. So we're going to want to, how about cut it in half instead? Maybe we need to cut it a little bit more. 1/4? I don't know. Let's see. Now it's getting really close. How about 1/5? I'm seeing a lot of multiples of 5 on the axis. This might give us what we need. Looks like it is what we need. We're going to go ahead and drop it down to the midline, which is at -2. And that gives us a perfect match. So whenever you increase the number here, the graph gets narrower. And when you decrease it, it begins to stretch out. So again, here, we want to stretch this out. So we're going to say 1 over, looks like there's a lot of multiples of 3 on here. So I'm going to say 1 over 3. Hey, it looks like it's lined up all right. Let's go ahead and say +3 because we can. And it looks like this is going to work. And this isn't going to even let you get it wrong. So it's going to let you fiddle around with it until it's ready to submit. Finally, let's look at the trig graph discovery 4. We want the equation here. Let's just like totally ramp this up because from -3 to 5, meaning the midline's got to be a +1 and the amplitude is 4. Let's just try it. It looks like we're going to need to change things up a little bit because now we have different values here. So it looks like the period here is 6 instead of anything involving pi because it's getting more and more off cycle the more you go. So I'm going to say, let's see, we want to narrow it a little bit. So we're going to make this number larger. So I'm going to say pi over 3x. There we go. Because remember, the period is going to be, well, the number you put in here is going to be 2 pi divided by the period. So 2 pi divided by 6 is pi over 3. Try a couple more of these and then I'll let you go. Here we've got some pi's on the board, so the period's probably going to be related to it. From negative 5 pi over 8 to 15 pi over 8, that is 20 pi over 8 to 5 pi over 2. Okay, so 2 pi divided by 5 pi over 2. So that's just going to be 4 over 5. And we're going to want to make it midline of negative 1. And we're going to want to make this a negative 3 sign of it because that's going to shift it around to where it's in the right spot. So the more you fiddle around with this yourself, you can get this wrong and not miss anything because it won't even let you just submit it until you've got it right. So finally here, we've got a period of 9 pi over 2 minus negative 3 pi over 2. So we've got 12 pi over 2 giving us 6 pi. So we're going to say 1/3 is going to stretch that out for us. Now we're going to want to make the amplitude negative 2 and the midline negative 1. We'll try it. Didn't have a whole ton of explanation there, but you could try stuff along the way until you get something that's right. If these axes here don't have pi's on them, then there's a good chance you're going to have a pi in your answer in the numerator. Um, and if you have multiples of the same number, like in this case, they're all divisible by 3 here. So it's a good chance you're probably going to want to have a 3 of some kind in your answer. But the most important bit is just going to be to find the midline, just split the difference between the top and the bottom, to find the amplitude, take the difference and divide it by 2. And to find the period, you want to, or to find the number that goes here inside, you want to go ahead and find 2 peaks on it. So like from 9 pi over 2 to negative 3 pi over 2, that's 6 pi difference. And then divide that, or divide 2 pi by whatever that period was, and you've got your number here. So that's really all we need to do. Well done. If you made it this far, you've probably got a good shot at making it through the homework without too much trouble this week. Have a good one.